Hey everybody, it's Gamer Grampz here. Today we have 5 quick tips for beginner and intermediate level players that you can start using in your games today. If you think that might help you out, then definitely stick around. If you want to get good at Civ 6, subscribe and hit the bell to keep up with this channel. Alright, so for any more experienced players who happen to be watching this, or if you're just in a rush for that matter, there will be timestamps pinned down in the comment section at the top where you can literally just jump through the tips and you can look to quickly see if you're interested in learning any of them, or just specifically jump to the ones that you want to watch instead of watching the whole video. Anyways, it's there for you if you want it, but let's just get into these tips now. Alright, here we go. So the first tip we're going to cover in today's video is a very convenient way to instantly get yourself a boatload of money. If you plan ahead for this, you can easily earn yourself enough to purchase at least 1, but sometimes 2 or 3 research labs or broadcast centers on that same turn. Or for that matter, buy you a military unit or 2, or fund promotions or whatever you want if you're playing a domination game. So the way to go about doing this is to use the policy card called public transport. Now, I'll be completely honest, I don't usually build a lot of neighborhoods in my games because I tend to try and win fast and I'm done with my games before they can really be worth the investment of production. This is the exact reason that I never gave much thought to this policy card at all. So what it does is it gives you gold based on the tile appeal that a farm has if you replace it with a neighborhood. However, the reason this is such a great policy card is that you don't actually have to build the neighborhood to get the gold. You just have to replace the farm with the neighborhood. Considering that you normally have at least 10 to 15 cities when you reach this card, you can clearly see how quickly that all that gold can add up. So if for whatever reason you don't plan ahead and have all your cities ready, you can obviously slot this card in and out as many times as you'd like. So as you continue to get more farms with good appeal, you can take advantage of this repeatedly. I'll just say that if you are going to use it more than once, I definitely wait until you have at least a few different farms ready to be replaced before you switch the policy card back in. Otherwise, the loss of having a better policy card slotted in is going to severely reduce the effectiveness of using this tip. Okay, onward and forward. Tip number 2 is pretty simple, yet it is amazing nonetheless. So I'd expect that by now most people are aware of the map search tool. If not, you're welcome. Anyway, so I've known about this since that they added it into the game and I've used it on a regular basis. Definitely convenient for searching for world wonders or finding new strategic resources that you've discovered. I was happy with that and really enjoyed the improvement to the game's quality of life, if I'm going to be honest about it. But then, recently, I was actually told how to use this feature properly by a subscriber of mine, and that's what I'm going to share with you now. So first off, thank you, Ryan. This is much more convenient. So not only can you search for new resources, but you can filter it even farther. If you type your civilization's name first, it'll narrow the search to just your territory. This is so much more convenient. Not only that, you can do lots of things like search for hills in your territory to find out which of your cities is the best location for the Ruhr Valley and make it easier to count them all up. You can easily search for farms in your territory to see how close to boosting feudalism you are. You get the idea. The applications are literally only limited basically by your imagination. Anyway, I won't dwell on this for too long. As I said, very simple, yet amazing nonetheless. Alright, on to tip number 3. This one's, again, another short tip, but it can be very powerful if the right game conditions are met. Now, in almost all games I play, Magnus is usually the first governor I pick up. The next one being usually Liang for the extra builder charges, or Pingala to start immediately working towards upping my culture and science. In fact, of all the possible governors to choose for my second pick, Amonity was the least likely choice for a long time. That was until I thought a bit about it and came up with this method for taking advantage of her. So basically, if in my game I end up getting several first meetings with city-states, at least 3 first meet envoys to even consider this, what I'll do is I'll change my normal routine. I'll grab Amani as my second governor. The reason for this is she's a great source of era score. So what I do is literally just rotate her between all the city-states that I have one envoy with and earn the 2 era score for becoming their first suzerain. So with this, you obviously have to pay attention because as soon as she's established in the city-state, you immediately want to move her to another one so that 5 turns later you get an additional 2 era score. You have to be quick about this, otherwise the AIs are going to beat you to it and you won't get the 2 era score for being first suzerain, because that's really all you care about. So basically, you just rinse and repeat this as quickly as you can before the other civs steal their suzerains. One other suggestion though, when you are using this tip, I would definitely pick whichever city-state has the best suzerainship ability or yield bonus that you want and send Amani to that one last. That way, she stays there and you enjoy the benefits of her being there in the long term and having 2 extra envoys for basically nothing other than a governor charge. If you've learned a lot from my videos, consider supporting the channel by becoming a member. There's 3 different choices that you can choose from, all for different prices, but for as little as $5 a month, you can help to make this channel successful and ensure that we continue to put out videos that you enjoy. Alright, now we're on to tip number 4. This is another short tip, but it can make a very big difference when you take advantage of it. So this is specifically for when you're playing science games. This tip revolves around the second city project in the science game, Launch Moon Landing. I'm not sure how close you pay attention to the fine print on this bad boy, but it gives you a one-time bonus of free culture that is equal to 10 times your science per turn output. Now I really do hope you always make sure to have both the 5-year plan and rationalism policy cards slotted in to ramp up your science output as high as you can. But don't worry, that isn't the tip. It should also go without saying that you should also go to every one of your cities with the campus and make sure that they have the maximum amount of citizens working in each campus before completing this project, even if it is just for 1 turn. But again, that's not the tip. The tip actually revolves around you building the Amundsen Research Station wonder. If you plan for it properly ahead of time, you should be able to fairly consistently build that wonder right around the same time that you're going to be finishing launching your moon landing project. So the tip is to get the moon landing completed to 1 turn left, yet hold off on finishing it until you've actually completed the Amundsen wonder. This way is because the wonder gives you that huge boost to your base science per turn across your entire empire, which by that point in the game is a huge increase in your science per turn, which is then obviously going to become a huge increase in the amount of free culture you're going to get from launching the moon landing. Now I should say that normally I personally won't wait for more than 5 turns for this to line up properly, because I'm anal and I want to win my games as fast as I possibly can. If you can't get the completion of the wonder and the finishing of this project to within 10 turns of each other, I'd probably suggest you just say fuck it and say better luck next time. Again though, make sure you do the other things I did mention so that you can at least have the most free culture you can earn for this time around if it doesn't line up the way you would have wanted it to. Again though, this little tip is a great way to help you boost past those tricky civics at the very end of the tunnel that are sometimes hard to get the inspirations for. Like the one that I always struggle with, no matter how hard I plan for it ahead of time, I always manage to fuck it up, but it's the boost for globalization where you have to build 3 airports. I always try and I've yet to literally get it in time before I actually surpass it by using other means. Anyway, let's just keep moving here. Alright, well here we are, we finally made it to tip number 5. So we're gonna stay on the science theme, and this tip is gonna be about the wonder that I was just talking about, the Amundsen Research Station. In case you don't know, this beauty gives you a huge boost to both science and production across your entire empire if you plan it out right. And that's actually exactly what this tip is all about, helping you plan for and secure the perfect spot for your Amundsen Research Station. So in order to get full use out of this wonder, you want to find a spot that has at least 5 snow or snow hill tiles within your city's borders. This is pretty easy to do usually, but you don't always start near a location that can satisfy this, so here is what you're gonna do. You explore the map until you come across a suitable location. When you find one, make sure to improve your relationship with whatever civilization is near your spot. You have some time to do this because the actual tip doesn't start until usually around the mid-game, so basically do whatever you have to. Pay for open borders to improve relationships, send them trade routes if necessary, help bribe them with gold if you really have to, whatever it takes in order to get them to have a friendly disposition towards you, and then declare that friendship to lock it in for 30 turns. Then, as you're doing this, what you do is move a settler over to the spot where you want to settle with a little backup in case you come across any barbarians while you wait. Then, on the first turn that you discover the civil service civic, which is in the early mid-game, you instantly form a cultural alliance with whatever civilization is surrounding your spot. This will allow you to found your city and secure your wonder location without loyalty being an issue at all, because by forming that alliance with them, their loyalty doesn't bother you and you don't bother them, so it's the perfect thing that you need in order to keep that city under your control. As a little side note here, it's also a great way to start earning your level 2 alliance, since that's required to get the Eureka of the chemistry technology, which is what unlocks research labs for you anyway. Then, if possible, you also want between 4 to 6 chops crops of either woods, deer, or stone in this city so that you can chop out the wonder in 2 turns. Well, in 1 to 2 turns, I should say. It usually ends up being 2 turns for me because most times I always use my 315 production great engineer in this city as well in order to rush the wonder out, and he has at least 2 charges, sometimes 3 if you build the mausoleum of Holly Carnassus. Also, you're probably going to want to use either Reina or Moksha to buy your campus with faith or gold, and then purchase your library, university, and research lab with gold normally, or with faith if you end up having the Jesuit education upgrade on your religion. So I'm not sure how experienced you are, but if you found these tips helpful, I'll put a link in the top right hand corner of the screen right now where you can find several more tip videos I've done just like this one. Other than that though, I just want to thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please do me a favor and leave a like on the video, plus comment down below. Did you find these tips helpful? Were they garbage tips? What are your best tips that you'd suggest to new players to help them get better faster? I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget that if you know anybody else who this video might help, to share it out, whether that's in a direct message to a friend on Facebook or into a bigger community somewhere like Reddit. It really does make all the difference towards helping a small channel like me grow. Anyway, I've rambled enough for this video, so I'm just going to shut up and I'll see you in the next one.